Hey everybody, my name is Steven and welcome back to the Storytime channel. Without wasting any time, let's get into our stories of the day. Ultra-religious aunt embarrasses everyone by insulting relative for wearing a tank top. Backstory: entitled aunt is a ultra-religious Muslim who almost killed me because of my religious affiliation. I already posted that story. And that's actually the first time entitled aunt has been out in her place. Introducing the cast: EA, entitled aunt, NU, nice uncle, OP, yours truly, PR, poor relative. It was a nice hot summer afternoon in Australia. We were having a nice family reunion in the backyard, cooking meat on the grill and relaxing with each other. Poor relative, aged 15 at that time, were talking and catching up when out of nowhere entitled aunt pops out.
Aren't you a little young to be wearing this outfit?
Poor relative says, "Excuse me?" Keep in mind that poor relative was wearing a tank top because the temperature was 30 degrees Celsius out there.
You look like a tramp in that tank top.
She decided to crank it up to 100. "Ma'am, it's 30 degrees out here." Entitled aunt started yelling the second I opened my mouth.
I don't remember asking you for your freaking opinion, you Wiccan.
Poor relative says, "Please ma'am, it's so hot out here, so I would really appreciate it if you would."
Don't you have any self-respect, you tramp? You are disrespecting your religion and I by wearing these trampy clothes.
At this point, the entire neighborhood was hearing us argue. Entitled aunt had a reputation for embarrassing my grandpa after arguing about religion with his neighbors, so I had to calm the situation down so that we won't get the cops called on us. "Please ma'am, I am begging you to stop making a scene every time someone does something that you don't necessarily agree with." At this point, entitled aunt tried to slap poor relative, but luckily her husband, nice uncle, stopped her before she did.
Why aren't you letting me punish her? She is disrespecting us and our religion.
Nice uncle says, "Because hitting someone for doing what they want." Poor relative, who was a Christian, started yelling too. "Take her to a freaking mental institution, she's clinically insane." OP says, "That's enough of you guys, especially entitled aunt. Stop making a fuss like a 2-year-old whenever you see something that you disagree with." Now entitled aunt was trying to hit me because why not? And at this point, nice uncle snapped. "I've had enough of you, entitled aunt. You have to produce religious tension every time you go to a family reunion. You have always been embarrassing me and my son because someone believes in a different religion. I am sick and tired of this bull. If you do this to anyone one more time, you and I are going to have a serious discussion." At last, entitled aunt has been put in her place for what seemed like the last time, and she shut up for the rest of the day. Before everyone left their homes, nice uncle came and apologized for his wife's actions. And he promised us that this was the last time entitled aunt will act like this. And he delivered on his promises until he died 2 years later. After he died, entitled aunt got married to a man from the UAE and began acting like she did before nice uncle died. In the end, it took one wedding with many problems to put her in her place for good. What even is the best course of action when you have a relative acting like this? If this was your entitled aunt, what would you do? Let me know what the best course of action in your opinion is in the comments below. Insane religious aunt berates my cousin over her boyfriend and soon-to-be husband, and is shocked when her son sided against her. Hey guys, since my last post had so much support, I decided to post more stories about my insane aunt. Cast: IC, innocent cousin, OP, yours truly, CC, cool cousin, PBF, poor boyfriend, EA, entitled aunt. It was a nice winter evening. Entitled aunt had just come back from Dubai. I was spending the weekend with innocent cousin, and my entire family has greeted her with an open heart. But my wounds with her are still fresh. Innocent cousin was also entitled aunt's niece, and cool cousin was her son. But innocent cousin saw her as a mother figure because her mother was always at work. Later during the night, innocent cousin decided to introduce her boyfriend to entitled aunt. But problems began to develop when they started talking about marriage.
Oh, sweetie, you are such a lovely person. Where are you getting married?
Poor boyfriend says, "Oh, we are getting married at a church."
Excuse me?
Innocent cousin says, "Please, entitled aunt, we all know what happened with you and OP. We don't want that to happen again." For some reason, entitled aunt started yelling again.
If you don't want that to happen again, don't marry this jerk in a church.
Poor boyfriend says, "Ma'am, please, I really love..."
If you really love her, you would leave her alone after I just warned you.
Cool cousin says, "Mom, that's enough." OP says, "Yeah, we don't want to repeat what happened between me and you. If he wants to marry her in a church, so be it."
I'm not going to listen to the talk of a pagan worshiper. You already cost me my relationship with your mother, you little poop. You're not gonna do the same thing now.
Cool Cousin was getting mad and he started yelling. Enough, Mom. Stop hating other people for what they believe in. You have already ruined many relationships with many of friends and family. Why can't you keep your mind open and accept the fact that people who are different also exist? At this point, the tension in the room can be cut with a knife. Innocent Cousin says, please, Cool Cousin, that's enough. No, that isn't enough. She already harmed OP and she will be willing to do the same thing to you if you marry him. Then Entitled Aunt had the guts to smack Cool Cousin across the mouth for speaking the truth.
You son of an idiot, I raised you for 18 years, and now you are supporting kafirs.
I am an atheist. She was talking about me. OP says, that's enough, Entitled Aunt. Don't you realize that the more you try to push your own agenda on others, the more you will be hated? Even your own son hates you for your actions, the son which you raised. It's about time someone called you out on your stupid actions like trying to kill me. Poor boyfriend and innocent cousin are getting married whether you like it or not. Poor boyfriend quietly, thanks man. Entitled Aunt and Cool Cousin have finally calmed down. Cool Cousin says, Mom, please, just for once, open your mind. Please don't always be opposed to the actions of other people. Please, Mom, I implore you to work with us this time.
Sorry, Cool Cousin, I simply can't. And if you want to stay with OP, poor boyfriend and innocent cousin, just know that I will never consider you to be my son.
After Entitled Aunt said that, she cut off contact with her son, who was in college. This still remains a very touchy subject and most of my family don't want to talk about it. 2 months after the incident, poor boyfriend and innocent cousin got married in a church. Me and Cool Cousin remained close with them and we occasionally hang out sometimes. Entitled Aunt went to Dubai to live there with her husband. The rest of our families accepted the marriage without any problems. What a nasty person. Closed-minded, nasty, just not a good person. Entitled parent demands to be at friend's birthday party. Tries to steal a gift. Alright, for a bit of backstory, this happened to my friend a long time ago, before we had met. He told me about this a while ago and I got permission to upload it. Now, for the real backstory. I live in Minnesota, I have for all my life. If you are not from the US, Minnesota is a state in the US. Anyway, it was my friend's birthday and he was having a party in the park. He and about 5 other kids, some haven't arrived yet, were all playing and sitting around a table when Entitled Kid comes up to them. F equals friend, EM equals entitled mother, ND equals nice dad, BG equals birthday guest, FM equals friend's mom. There are more characters. Entitled Kid says, hi, can I play? Friend says, sure. They all start to play tag, and it goes good until my friend's mom brought his cake out. Entitled Kid says, ooh, is that a cake? Birthday guest says, yeah, it's OP's birthday. Entitled Kid says, cool, what kind of cake is it? Friend's mom says, it's a chocolate cake, and not to be rude, who are you? I haven't seen you before. Keep in mind, she said this nicely, and it's important later. Entitled Kid runs off while they are playing. A few minutes later, he returns. He started out as a normal kid until he asked this. Can I have the cake? Friend, feeling generous. Yeah, you can have a slice. Not a slice, the whole thing. Friend says, I'm sorry, what? I want the whole cake. Entitled Kid was maybe 8 or 9. Sorry, you can't. But my mommy said I can have it. Birthday guest says, your mommy isn't the boss. Entitled Kid says, I don't care, give me the cake. He reaches up and tries to grab the cake, but friend pushes him away. His mom had also gone out to her car for something. You all suck, I never wanted to have your stupid cake anyway. He runs off and they continue playing again. Until Entitled Kid and his demon mother come back. Entitled Mother says, did you tell my baby no? Friend says, what? My baby, you told him he can't have cake. I said he could have a slice. Entitled Mother says, yes. She said that like he finally said something correct. But he wants the whole cake. My friend's mom comes back. What's going on here? Entitled Mother says, your spoiled brat won't give my son his cake. Friend's mom says, probably because it's his cake. Entitled Mother says, I don't care, give me your effing cake. She reaches over and grabs the cake, but friend's mother grabs it back. Entitled Mother runs away screaming and nice dad comes over. Sorry about her. Friend's mom says, it's alright. The problem was resolved and everyone was happy. Except for entitled mother and entitled kid. I'm just wondering what kind of delusion did they have? Why would they ever assume somebody would just give them the cake? That doesn't make sense to me. My evil neighbor, entitled grandmother. So I'd like to start this with I won't use names, but you'll guess it pretty quick. Also, it's more entitled grandmother and it's pretty much 99% about her. So back in August, entitled grandmother started calling my mom and yelling at her over the phone about our dogs barking despite nobody being home to stop them. They're small dogs and they really don't bark that much. A little while later, she would start hitting the fence, which would only make them bark more. When my dad caught her, she hosed him, the barbecue, and mom's washing down. So he hosed her right back. She then starts waiting for me and my brothers to record us while we're walking home from school, yelling out stuff like the R word repeatedly. I was 17 and 18 during this time period. I can laugh at the dumb idiot, but my brothers are 12 and 15. We would mostly leave idle comments not making fun of her, but the situation. I would say stuff like, is this getting weird for you? It's getting weird for me. Mostly because she would be staring at us the whole time. Recently, when I was coming back from film school, I did a full news report. Yes, that's right, this young Aussie lad has in fact departed the train from Sydney and has journeyed his way home to where you see me now. Catch me next week when I do the same thing again. She would do this to anyone entering our house, including my sister and her husband. Then there was the time when she called the cops on me on my 18th party. The party had literally finished up, but at 1 o'clock, the cops arrived to the quiet sounds of me and my tired drunk friends. I used to blast music from my speaker whenever I was outside, like crazy, fat-bottomed girls, If You Want Blood. Before any of you ask about diplomacy, A, this has already been handled as of last month. B, this idiot doesn't exactly speak. She yells bull at you. She poisoned our backyard tree, poured a root killer all over it and overcut it, since it was overhanging her side of the fence. Side note for the future, she lies about this later, but her proof was her yelling at my dad, I've poisoned your tree. She continued throwing several rocks at the fence. Sometimes I'd be playing Fallen Order late at night and hear a rock hit the fence. It's metal, so it's loud. My mom stopped going into the backyard. The freaking expletive likes to throw rocks at the fence and yell at her. She wants us to move mid-year, but not sure if we can cause, Corona. My dad had enough. The council hasn't showed up about the tree. The cops do nothing, and all they can do is give warnings. So my dad takes out an APVO on her. So she does the same thing. She takes out an APVO on me and my older brother and my younger brother. My older brother is hardly home and once called her a pedo for filming my brothers. So we spent an entire day at court. I missed orientation day at my film school. But hey, I got to show up as the mysterious guy nobody knew and my story was, couldn't go, I was at court. Fun story time from court though. A random stranger walked up to my sister and told us he was sitting next to her. She was talking to him. He apologized for hearing her side of the story. Her lawyer several times had mentioned several times that she was out of line in her decisions. Basically, there was a consent form to agree to the terms of the APVO so long as she did. She didn't, then the courts asks us if we want to consent anyways, so that means she'll be able to do anything and I could look at a huge fine or jail time. Freak that. So it goes to mediation. I had to spend the day listening to her lie at every claim. I'd say anything and she would say the opposite. Once the mediator started seeing that she was clearly bowling about everything, they eased up a bit on us and just wanted it over. 2 out of 3 strikes later in the mediation, somehow it worked. She's not allowed to talk to us anymore. I'm not allowed to talk to her. Update. Forgot to mention the claims against me on the APVO. She mentioned I was frightening her grandchildren and they were afraid to go in the backyard because of me. Said I was peering over the fence. When my mom no longer goes outside and the only time I peered over the fence was when I noticed a large pile of leaves in a section of our backyard. No trees nearby for that large of a pile. Also, she has specific red stones in her backyard which are also in the leaf pile. She dropped the APVO on me and my brothers when we agreed to have no contact and dropped the one on her. If there is any issues between us, she's to write a letter to my dad to discuss sorting anything out. Good riddance expletive. It's unfortunate, but sometimes you gotta take things to court to actually get a resolution. So hopefully it sounds like there is some kind of resolution that will work out for them. Both the mother and father called the cops on me because I was a nice person and wouldn't give them my car. Okay, a little bit of background. Where I live, there is a car show held in memory of someone in our town who died of brain cancer, and all proceeds go to cancer research. The show is held at a raceway nearby where everyone is welcoming and the kids get in for free, while the parents have to pay $2 AUD to get in, while the people entering the car show are going to go around the track paying a premium. I had entered my car into the car show and paid extra for it to go around the track during the time event. The car show part was a few hours before the warm-up before time trials, where anyone entering could do up to 3 practice laps to get used to the course. Now this is where the child came in. Before the practice laps start, the kid, entitled kid, said he liked my car, 1977 Leyland Mini, and started asking me about it and how I got it. All was normal. My family who was with me said I should let him sit in it, and I agreed, but thought I could take it a step further and let the kid sit in the passenger seat during one of my warm-up laps. I said to him I would let him go around the track with me on account I have his parents' permission. When he heard that, his face lit up and he went to go get his parents. I thought all was normal until this happened. I was waiting around for the kid and his parents to show up. I hadn't moved from my spot and was doing some pre-checks on my car before I went out. 20 minutes had passed and I thought it was taking a little long for him to come back to give me an answer, but I thought I would wait a little longer just in case he just lost. Next thing I know, another 20 minutes have passed. Then another 20 minutes. I had waited an hour for him to show back up and needed to get on the track. My car was ready half an hour ago and I had already gotten permission from the race organizers to have a young passenger for 1 lap of the practice run. I had gotten tired and went to start the car when the kid showed up with his parents. They instantly asked me if I was up to something. By the way, I just turned 18 at the time and had my girlfriend with me at the race keeping track of my times. I told them I just wanted to give the kid a chance to see what it was like in a road race car, just like how someone else let me when I was his age. After hearing that, they took a few steps back and started talking, but they took 10 minutes to do so. Tired of waiting, I told them it was final call. It's either a yes or no and I need to get on the track now. Entitled parents gave me a stink eye and finally said entitled kid could. I had him get in and put the 5-point on and we headed for the first practice run. I told him to hold on and don't scream while I'm driving. He seemed to understand, but during the lap, he did the exact opposite. Once it was over, I had a headache and was still trying to be nice and I asked him if he had fun. He said he did and wanted to go again. I said from now on I had to be by myself and he started yelling at me and got out of the car, slamming my door behind me. I had it at that point and just went to do my last 2 laps. Once they were over, we stopped for a quick break and this is where everything went down. First up, I had the entitled parents come up to me and yell at me for not letting their kid go again. I explained to them that I technically wasn't allowed and only got permission to do 1 lap with him. They were livid. Next thing I know is that one of the organizers said to them their kid could go around the track in one of the rental track cars with his father, but it would cost $300. The entitled kid said no and that he wanted to go around in my car, but I said that he couldn't. Next thing I know is the entitled father is yelling how it's a ripoff and we are wasting the money on people who is going to die anyway. I lost it at that point and told them to leave, but the organizer said what they said was fine and we don't need to make this work. I left with the organizer after that to avoid more of a confrontation. Skip forward half an hour and the time trial is about to start and guess who came back? Entitled mother. She said she was sorry and wanted to talk. I said later and she yelled out $400. She was offering $400 for my entire car. I told her no and to get out of here. Next thing I know is the other entitled parent rocks up and says $700 for the car. I said no and that I have more money in the car than they probably have in their bank. The father responded saying that my sad, rusted piece of poop is not worth more than $1,000 and that I would get more from crushing it than selling it. I told them to leave as they would not like what would happen next if they get in my way. I hopped in my car and drove off right past them. Once the time trial was over, I went to park in my spot to find my girlfriend and grandfather being talked to by the cops while the entitled parents were pointing at me. 2 officers came over and told me to turn off and get out of the vehicle. I did so and asked what was going on. The entitled parents called the cops claiming I stole their car and touched entitled kid when I had him in the car. I told the cops the car was in my name and I have footage inside from a camera in my car that I used for studying my driving techniques. They asked to see the footage and I willingly showed them. They say I did nothing and I had my parents bring me down the proof of sale for my car. The entitled parents still tried to screw me over until entitled father hit a bystander. The cops arrested him for assault and took the wife in as an accomplice. I haven't heard anything from them now, but one of the officers from the incident are a good friend who I go to drag races with. So at least something good came out of this. These parents sound clueless, and honestly it makes me concerned for the future of entitled kids' upbringing. But with that said, that's all the stories we have for today, so what I want to know is which of these stories piqued your interest the most and why? Let me know which story was the most interesting to you in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching and listening to the Storytime channel. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing and don't forget to turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. Thank you all again for watching and listening to the Storytime channel.